Eye on the Ball. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales, and you're listening to 1030 The Voice. Welcome to Tuesday afternoon. Let's kind of start the show on a serious note, as it is. It's serious enough,
yes,
Jay?
Yes, very serious note that word is out that Lute Olson has gone into hospice care. He's had failing health for a while, and I think we've all known a lot about that. And Steve's you've had a relationship with him through the basketball camp, but the news kind of hit the social media today, and there's some other media reports that that he's very ill. He's in hospice, and we all know what that means.
Yeah, we have our prayers out for him.
Yeah,
obviously.
we do.
What's Tucson without him?
Well, and what would we have been without him? So
yeah, right.
he's still here. It's not time to memorialize
Right.
him yet. Lute's still here, and he could still be here for a while. And let's see. I think we let the family deal with this, and there'll be a time when we'll all talk about him.
Right. We'll get some people to talk about him. Thank you very much, Jay. It's a tough time, obviously, for everybody.
It is.
No
it
question.
is. Again, with the profile that Lute has had here, and what he's meant to the community, everybody's thinking about him.
Yeah. Let's move on real quick. We have Pat Finley on from the Chicago Sun-Times.
Right, Pat Finley.
We had Ryan Finley on about a week ago.
We had Ryan Finley, I think it was last Wednesday.
Are there triplets? Do we have to have another guy on next week?
There's only two of them, thank God.
Okay, yeah. We can have one every other week. So that's going to be fun because he covers Nick Foles.
Right, he's covering Nick Foles, and we tried to get Nick Foles, and we couldn't get past their PR department throughout the summer, and then even in the last week or so. So we thought, let's get the next best thing, the guy who's around him a little bit that we know.
That might be Nick Foles' best protection, the PR department.
Well, having been the PR department for the Tucson Sugar Skulls, I kind of understand. They're busy and they're trying to focus on camp, and they do have other media obligations and stuff like that.
Along those lines, though, he has a pretty good podcast.
He's got a podcast that he's had for a while now. Talking about his faith and a lot of things and a lot of messages like that. And we thought maybe he could come and promo that on and maybe he will sometime in the future. Right. But we wanted to have Pat on to talk about the quarterback battle over there. It's Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky. Nick has won a Super Bowl. Mitch Trubisky has the. He's just been under a lot of pressure because he got drafted, really high by the Bears, and there've been a lot of expectations, and he just hasn't achieved those. So I get a sense, and we'll ask Pat this. I get a sense that the quarterback job over there is kind of like everybody waiting for the baby to be born, and everybody's checking on it every day.
Right.
And so it's kind of interesting, and wanted to kind of get his perspective, not only on that, but just the NFL camp. What's that look like? Right.
Today's day and age of reporting stuff from away from the camps and things like that. Right. Aren't you glad that you don't do that anymore?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe is it easier that you don't have to be out in the sun?
Well, we talked about that, or maybe Ryan did, where we talked. Oh, he talked about it because it's true. Oh, so we used to go there, Camp Cochise, every morning, every afternoon, swat the flies, and then they moved the camp here.
Right.
And then you'd have to go every day to practice, see what they're doing, but you couldn't really report what was going on, injuries, because that was kind of like a little thing that they requested of us.
Right.
You can kind of tell news, but just not injuries and things like that.
Right.
And then one of the great things is when they close everything off, well, you didn't have to go anymore.
You didn't have to go to camp.
Right.
I mean, I just remember the whole task of having to go time it, so you went to the last half hour of camp to see either who wasn't there or who was on the sidelines being treated, and that's all you went for. I mean, yes, once or twice a week you had to do interviews and stuff like that, but for the most part you just went to see who's here and who's not.
Right, you had the roster and you check off, okay, this guy,
exactly.
and then who's not and who is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll talk to Patrick Finley about what's it like covering camp right now. What's it going to be like covering NFL games going forward? I mean, so many teams have announced they're going to have games with no fans or few fans. What's a beat writer do? Are you gonna travel with the team? Are you gonna watch it on TV?
Right.
How does that work?
Well, the thing about it, journalism has changed so much in the last 10 years. I know I worked for the paper forever, and 10 years has been done. But papers are finding out you don't have to travel with the team now.
Well, and we used to give one of your colleagues, Corky Simpson,
he was ahead of his time, baby.
He was ahead of his time, and he was covering games on TV. We were traveling, and we were, running through airports, and we were, late flights and that kind of stuff. And Corky was just sitting at home covering the games. I'm like, why am I here?
Right. Now you know.
Yeah, but you know what? Look, I wouldn't have traded that for it. I had fun being there. It was always fun. It was always fun to be at the games. But it's a whole new era.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole new deal. I'm really interested to talk to somebody who's in the middle of it. So on top of what's going on with Nick Foles, I really do want to hear what's it like covering a pro team right now.
We'll see how much he misses Tucson too.
Yeah,
maybe have a story or two when his time is here.
I mean, I know they got great food in Chicago, but I'm guessing they don't have as good a Mexican food as we've got, right?
True. Pizza, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
They're known for their pizza. We'll talk to Pat maybe for 2 segments.
Yeah, hopefully he can for a little while. He's waiting over there. It's 2 hours later over there, so
So then I'll ask to put you on the spot because you played on the same softball team, or no?
I didn't know. Pat was already gone by the time I joined that softball team.
I'll ask Patrick who is a better ball player because we already know that his brother went 1 for 3 most of the time.
Well, let me just say, if it's not Pat, then Pat's a bad player.
As they say,
here's a question: they're twins. Are they both left-handed?
Oh, okay. We'll figure this out.
I think we need to ask that.
Yeah, we'll talk about
this. Did you come out? Are you guys both left-handed, or did it work out differently in the
Right. We'll talk about it. We'll joke a little about with him. I haven't seen him in a number of years. Obviously, he's been gone. Landed in a nice spot in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago sometimes is not. It's a nice paper to be at. Those are the kinds of things we aspired to. Those of us who wanted to go somewhere.
Working for any paper right now is pretty good.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
So he'll come on at 6:15. What's going on? Otherwise, you maybe just want to give us a quick coronavirus report from other schools.
Coronavirus report. Texas and Oklahoma, 2 teams that think they're going to play within the next few weeks, have a combined 38 cases of COVID on their teams. On the Oklahoma side, apparently it hit one position group in particular. They're not saying who, but one position group got hit where all but one player in the group got it.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm no doctor, but what that tells me is that this group of guys that was working out together, whether in the weight room, on the field, or whatever, somebody got it and gave it to everybody.
Right.
That's how this is going to work.
The gift that keeps on giving.
And then Texas Tech, they had a bunch of cases too. Here's what caught me in the reporting of all this today. We're sitting here August 25th. The Big 12 is going to start playing the weekend of September 12th.
Mm-hmm. 3 weeks.
And the Big 12 spokesman said they still do not have the criteria for how many COVID cases or what the circumstances are to postpone a game. They still haven't figured that out.
And we're getting tick. Mr. Tom, I need a percentage. I need a percentage of them playing.
Well, starting SEC is at 99.99% that they're starting. Everybody else is the remaining 3 are right there with the SEC. The percentage that they finish is 0.5 at this point for me.
Whatever's
Couldn't
left,
get any lower.
Whatever's left. I don't disagree with you. I don't know about the numbers, but I don't disagree with you.
Well, again,
But the thing is, you're right. What's the eventual measuring stick?
What's the threshold?
Yeah.
What's the threshold to say, guess what, guys, we can't play? I mean, I heard somebody say that if Oklahoma had a game this week,
go ahead,
that they wouldn't be able to play.
Makes sense. Makes complete sense.
Right. And actually, think about it. The season for Arizona was supposed to start Saturday.
Yeah, right. We've already started by now.
So I mean,
they're
running out of time.
I almost last year at this time they'd already played a game and lost to Hawaii.
Right. These guys are running out of time, and I don't know how this is not figured out yet.
Let's take the quick break, get a hold of Pat, and come back here on 10:30 The Voice.
We have lots of ideas and even some solutions. 10:30 The Voice.
These days, most families are concerned with having the right insurance coverage. Protecting your family, home, auto, and other valuable possessions can be challenging and sometimes expensive. Crest Insurance gives you flexible options and solutions while saving you money. Insurance is not one size fits all, and at Crest, we find the coverage that's best for you and your family. Visit us online at www.crestins.com or call us toll free at 888-881-5765.
There's a place in our house For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
Hey Tucson, it's me, Dave Ramsey. Every day I get calls from people in difficult situations. Maybe you've been furloughed. Maybe this crisis has put a strain on your relationships. Or maybe you're just scared and you don't know where to start. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that there is hope. We'll walk with you and show you how to take control of your life and your money right here on The Dave Ramsey Show. Live at 1 on 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk.
Trusted local news and talk. All day, every day. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera. That's Jay Gonzales, and who knows what that is.
What the heck was that, Tom?
This is Time is Running Out by Muse.
Okay. That's your first mistake there, Tom. What's up with
This
that?
is not a mistake. This is fully intentional, my friend.
Okay. Well, we have Mr. Pat Finley of the Chicago Sun-Times. Pat, how are you? Long time no see.
Try and hold it together, boys. Hey, come on.
Our producer just kind of threw a curve at us.
Pat, it's easy for us to lose it. Very easy.
How's Chicago treating you?
It's great. It's a lot of fun covering the Bears. Everybody in town knows everything about them and has very strong opinions. We've settled up in Evanston, which is where Northwestern is, so we still get a little bit of college town when we want it, and that's been really cool.
Well, so while we love having you here, we really wanted Nick Foles, but since we couldn't, we thought, okay, next in line is Pat Finley. So tell me, is the quarterback the quarterback competition? I saw you had some notes on it today. You're kind of talking about it every day. Is it kind of one of those things where everybody's waiting for the baby to be born, and it's kind of everybody's keeping a close eye on it? I mean, how much interest is there in what's going on at the QB?
There's a ton of interest, and this would have dragged out for months had it been a regular off season. Nick Foles would have come in April and learned the playbook and gotten to know his teammates and all that sort of good stuff. As it is, Foles showed up about 2.5 weeks ago, and there's a good reason for it. His wife had a baby. I think they live in Huntington Beach. And he wasn't going to leave her in the middle of the summer to come out here just to throw on the side to his teammates. So when he got to Chicago, I think, he still was getting to know names, literally
right.
The names of his teammates. A couple of weeks ago, Mitch Trubisky, who lives here, was able to throw to Allen Robinson and Tariq Cohen and those guys at high school kind of all off season long. So, that gave him an advantage. And Matt Nagy, the head coach here, made no bones about that Mitch probably had, a half-step lead. But that seems to have gone away a little bit now. I don't think either of them are playing particularly well in practice. But Nick is caught up in the 10 days they've been going with pads.
How is it covering the team given the circumstances of COVID? Are you allowed to go to practice? Are you allowed to do certain things? Or are you just kind of on the sidelines hoping things?
We know you're not allowed to take pictures because we're seeing your drawings.
That was good. That was good shtick at training camp back the last couple of years. They used to have training camp in front of 5,000 fans every day, and the fans could take all the photos they wanted, but the reporters couldn't. So that was my little needle to the PR staff. It's interesting. The media is split up at every NFL city into two tiers. One tier's got a couple of people in it, and they get virus tested every day. And because of that, in situations where the team's got to go inside their dome or their bubble, for example, the people who are tested every day are allowed in. The people who aren't, because why would you put them in an enclosed space with these players you're trying to protect? I am in the tier where I get tested, so I get tested every day, which is nice. I'm not particularly worried about coming down with it, but it's good to know. So that's been interesting. The rest of it is just covering a team, that's having practices that, you guys know this, they're closed practices for the most part. So we're getting a lot less information that we can share this year than we would any other year because the team has only so many people they can allow in. We get to watch practice every day. That's nice, but in order to report some certain details, we've got to ask the coach about it or ask players about it and try and get it confirmed that way.
So what's it going to take to win this job for the two quarterbacks?
Oh, man.
What are they looking for?
They say it's whoever plays better.
Well,
and of course they're going to say, that publicly. They say that, this is, whatever's in the best interest of the Chicago Bears is what they're going to go with. But, let me paint the picture for you here. Mitch Trubisky, their number 2 overall pick. Remember, they picked him instead of Deshaun Watson and instead of Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
So that's the anchor that he has been around them. And this offseason, they decided not to pick up his 5th-year option. I think he became the highest quarterback ever drafted to not have their 5th-year option picked up. So, he may be a short-timer here even if he does start and even if he does play well. When they traded for Nick, they gave up a 4th-round pick. They're paying him $8 million a year for the next 3 years. So they are invested in him. They made a couple of assistant coaching changes to try to fix this offense. And, guys, the offensive coordinator, the quarterback's coach, the offensive line coach, all of them had worked with Foles before.
Whoa, okay.
3 new people that they brought in all know him from a past life, so they know what he can do. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Well, have you talked to Nick at all this camp?
Yeah, a couple times. We'll talk to him again tomorrow. He's got a really good attitude. And, I think Trubisky's probably going to be the one who ends up winning this out of camp. And I put it this way. When you've got a great utility infielder on a baseball team, if you've got Ben Zobrist from a couple of years ago, you don't slot him in as your starting second baseman. You kind of lose the value of him. You lose the Zobrist-ness of him if you make him a starter. And I think part of Foles' appeal, part of what makes him really good, is that he might be the best backup quarterback in the history of modern football.
Right.
And I don't think you put that guy as the day one starter. I think what makes him so good is his ability to be a great teammate, his ability to step in and make the right decisions, and his ability not to get rattled. His quarterback's coach from the Eagles in the Super Bowl year is the current Bears quarterback's coach, and he was saying that he's never in his life seen anybody so focused as Nick Foles on Super Bowl Sunday. Once you've seen that, I'm guessing, Game 5 in October probably ain't that intimidating.
Right,
but
right.
I think the value he brings is probably starting off on the bench, but we'll see. If he steps up and plays really well the next 10 days, he'll be the starter.
Well, again, as I mentioned yesterday, he's one of the most rare beings on the planet, and that's an Arizona quarterback in the NFL.
Oh,
so,
right.
Everybody here is obviously rooting for him. But you're right. With what he did with the Eagles, it's kind of like there was no pressure on him, no expectations. And so he just went out and played and won the Super Bowl. I listened to his podcast. It was his very first one, and he described the entire from the NFC Championship game through the Super Bowl, just what his life was like. And to hear him go through it, and you realize, well, that's why he won the Super Bowl, because he had his head on so straight during that whole time. And it seems like that's what his value is.
Yeah, and, he is super genuine in a way that does not seem phony, does not seem contrived. He is just himself. And I think, when you're reigning Super Bowl MVP and you've made the money he's made in the league, you can probably be yourself without fear of anything.
Right.
But that comes through with him for sure. And I think that will serve him well, whether he's the number 1 or the number 2 here. He's going to get his opportunity. We all know that, a starting quarterback in the NFL rarely makes it through healthy. So even if he loses the starting job, he will be brought in at some point. But the Bears really like what he's going to bring to the culture, kind of one way or the other.
There's no question. His story has been well documented, obviously being a good guy, his story about his faith and things like that. I don't think his story ever gets old. And you probably have to spin it different ways, but his story never gets old.
Yeah, well, let's put it this way. Philadelphia loves him.
Right.
And,
of course they do.
They don't love anybody. Come on.
Right. And we in Chicago think that, that we've got a tough fan base or a tough media market or we're cynical or whatever, but my God, he never has to buy a drink for the rest of his life in the city of Philadelphia. And very, very few people can see that or can say that.
Him and Rocky?
If if Philly buys him as a genuine guy, I think the city of Chicago has no choice but.
Right. So tell us a little bit about the Bears, okay? You know, we're all in a football pool, and we all want to know, you know, how are the Bears?
I don't know what you're talking about today.
When I said all, I meant in this room here. You're not in the room.
They have a really, really good defense. Khalil Mack had not his best year last year, but he was a little banged up. Their hope is that if they just have a competent quarterback, which they did not have last year because Trubisky was just terrible. If they just have an above-average quarterback, their defense will hold everybody to less than 17 points a game, and they can just try and win games that way. It'll be interesting if it doesn't work out because they've got a GM who will never live down drafting Trubisky, probably,
right.
And his job may be on the line if they don't produce here. But you know, this is a team that with a terrible offense, we're talking about 27th, 28th, you know, in running, you know, 24th in passing, something like that last year. Still went 8-8 because their defense was fantastic. That's what they're going to lean on again this year. When you look at the division, you know, the Packers are the Packers. I think every year the Vikings, you know, I pick the Vikings every year. The Vikings always disappoint a little bit. So, you know, the Bears have an uphill battle to try and finish in the top two of this division, and hopefully they think try to make the playoffs. You know, 2 years ago, they won their division. They hosted the playoff game, and everybody thought that they were on their way to the Super Bowl, and they lost to the Eagles. And the quarterback of that game, fellas, you want to guess who it was?
Nick Foles.
There we go.
So you've been covering the team how long now? At least a handful of years?
My 7th year.
Man, you've been gone 7 years?
Yeah. You're telling me.
So you were there, obviously, when Kadeem was there. What happened there?
I was. He never could stick as a running back. You know, he and a guy named Jeremy Langford were kind of both brought in about the same. They were picked around the same place. Jeremy came from Michigan State, and Kadeem didn't quite stick as a special teamer. So really, to prove his value, he was going to have to be an every down guy. And you know this from watching him. The more he carries the ball, the better he is. You know, this isn't a guy who's going to run twice and then jog off the field. You know, you need to give him the ball 15, 18 times. And in the NFL, especially when you're not a star, that's just not how it works. You know, they gave him he was here his full 4 years, I believe. And by the end of it, they really liked him as a guy, and he had started to contribute on special teams a little bit, but it just didn't stick. I know, is he back in Tucson? Is he hanging out there?
Yeah, actually just had a kid.
Really?
Yeah. I think his third.
Yeah, we're trying to get him on the show. We had his sister on the show about 2 months ago.
Oh, Missy? No, I'm sorry.
Nutty. Is it Nutty?
Yeah, Nutty. Yeah. She could beat us all up.
I know this, and you guys know this. Kadeem can talk, so if you have him on the show, keep him for the full hour.
Right. Hey, we're going to take a break, come back with you. We talk about your Tucson days. Who was a better ball player, you or your brother? You could lie. It doesn't matter. We'll come back here on the other side.
Thanks.
CBS News at the top and bottom of every hour. 1030 The Voice, Tucson's trusted local news and talk.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. More records for the S&P and NASDAQ as stocks closed higher. The Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped 60. The S&P 500 added 12. The NASDAQ Composite rose 87. Positive cash flow during the second quarter failed to ease the sting of a deep sales drop at Nordstrom. Sales fell 53% from last year as the pandemic robbed the chain of about half of its operating days. Nordstrom is lower in late trading. Salesforce.com beat estimates for the second quarter, signaling strong demand for the company's customer relations software. Revenue climbed 29%. Salesforce also raised its sales forecast, sending its stocks higher after the bell. Big job cuts are on the way this fall at two major airlines. American says it will cut 19,000 workers once the protections linked to federal financial aid run out October 1st. Delta will lay off more than 1,900 pilots, citing a grim travel outlook. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
CBS News Special Report. President Trump is highlighting second chances on the second night of the GOP convention. He pardoned bank robber John Ponder, a black man who started an organization that helps prisoners.
I will continue to give all Americans, including former inmates, the best chance to build a new life and achieve their own American dream.
Kentucky Senator Rand Paul spoke about America's role in the world.
I'm supporting President Trump because he believes, as I do, that a strong America cannot fight endless wars.
And a White House economic advisor, Larry Kudlow, offered a bleak outlook on a Biden presidency.
Our economic choice is very clear. Do you want economic health, prosperity, opportunity, and optimism? Or do you want to turn back to the dark days of stagnation, recession, and pessimism?
CBS News Special Report. I'm Pam Coulter.
Camille Rivas Rutherford with Coldwell Banker Realty has been one of the top producing real estate agents in Tucson, Oro Valley, Marana, and Vail for more than 20 years. Let her help you find your dream home in southern Arizona. Her passion and enthusiasm for real estate has helped her become one of the most respected and trusted realtors in the area. And she was recently named a recipient of Coldwell Banker's 2019 International President's Circle Award. Camille's approach to sales and marketing and selling or buying a home is second to none. Give her a call at 520-250-5192.
Time to update those old kitchen cabinets? Call the Window Depot today. The Window Depot is not only the #1 warehouse for windows and doors, we now have a great selection of kitchen and bath cabinets at Tucson's best prices. The Window Depot is Tucson's top spot for granite and quartz countertops to finish the new kitchen or the replacement of that old worn-out Formica. So call us today at 290-8545 or 622-6430. The Window Depot, windows, doors, granite, and new kitchens.
Tucson's Hispanic Voices, bringing diversity into the conversation. We'll talk local politics while fostering a culture of respect and understanding. Plus, we'll share stories of music, food, art, and culture. Tune in Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 on KBOI 1030 The Voice. Tucson's Hispanic Voices, sponsored by MPG Automotive, HT Metals, the Law Office of Natalie H. Haywood, and music by Gabriel F. Romo.
Trusted local news and talk. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside co-host Jay Gonzales, and now on the phone we have Patrick Finley from the Chicago Sun-Times. So, Patrick, I'm sure you missed the Mexican food from Tucson. Maybe you found a nice spot in Chicago, but that's our guess.
No, not a great spot. There are a couple of Rick Bayless restaurants downtown that are really, really nice. But, my God, and I've told anybody who will listen to this, if you could give me just a burrito place that I could walk in and spend $6.50 on a burrito tops, and if it were within 10 miles of my house, I'd go twice a week. And that does not exist.
And you don't have that. Oh, my God. There's like 6 of those within a mile of my house.
Yeah, but we were laughing. I think we're officially Chicagoans. Maybe a year ago, I have a 5-year-old. So a year ago, he was 4. And he said that he didn't want to go to this one hot dog place. He wanted to go to the other one because it was better. And we figured if you're 4 years old and if you got a favorite hot dog place and a less favorite hot dog place, you're probably a Chicago.
I guess that makes all the sense. So covering the NFL, how much does that differ from what you're doing over here in terms of dealing with the guys, dealing with the coaches, the travel, the
love for the team,
the way the fans are with the team and all that kind of stuff. I mean, what's your experience there?
The fan love here is not that dissimilar from Tucson and the U of A. At least in Chicago, they've got the Cubs, and the Cubs have won the World Series since I've been here, and they've got the White Sox, but that kind of splits the vote. It's probably 65 Cubs, 35 White Sox. They've got the Bulls, but the Bulls haven't been relevant in a long time. They've got the Blackhawks, which the Blackhawks are one of the great teams in hockey, but hockey, even here, still remains kind of a niche sport. You see the flags go up in the neighborhoods, in my neighborhood here, but only in the playoffs, and most people can't name more than 5 players. But the Bears are kind of what everybody rallies around. And it's the thing that everybody can talk about and have the same conversation. And in that sense, it's like U of A basketball probably, in that, you can just pick a random person off the street and have a cogent conversation about who the starters is, who should be starting, what the coach has done that's smart or stupid or whatever. So that's been really fun. What's weird about the NFL is, as we travel around, and I think I've been to every NFL stadium but the Oakland Coliseum, and obviously now Los Angeles.
Now you're not going to that one, right?
I know, yeah, and Vegas, and the Bears play against the Rams this year, but I'm not quite sure what the state of travel and airplanes will be then. NFL stadiums, for the most part, are all the same. It's just everybody's got a flag squad. Those guys who run flags across this field, and everybody's got kind of a dopey fight song. But there's nothing really unique, short of Lambeau Field, which we're lucky enough to get to go to every year, Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. Those places are like college stadiums, and that is the highest compliment I can give them. You guys know that a really good college stadium is unmatched because, you've got the bands, you've got people who really care, you've got unique traditions, and that's stuff that the Packers have, the Chiefs have, maybe a couple other teams have, but otherwise it's fairly cookie cutter. I could wake up in a press box in 15 cities in America and not really know where I am without looking at logos and stuff.
That's funny. Cause how are you dealing with the cold? Okay, because I went to 1989. I went to a playoff game there. They played the 49ers, and I was there for my then brother-in-law's wedding. He got married in Rockford. And I'm like, there's a playoff game. It's going to be 27 below zero with the wind chill, so tickets were available. And I did. I got a ticket. I bundled up, and I went to the game. And, it was funny. During the game, when everybody was in the stadium, it wasn't so bad. But the Bears got their butts kicked, and the fourth quarter, the stadium emptied out, and I've never been so cold in my life.
Here's my background was, I grew up in San Diego, went to school at Missouri, but, when you're in college, you're living in apartments. You're never shoveling snow.
Right.
And my wife and I then lived in Naples, Florida, and Tucson, Arizona. So I had never shoveled snow ever until we moved here 7 years ago. That is not pleasant.
I still haven't.
Do you remember, Steve, I'm sure you remember this. Do you remember Kevin Parham?
Yes.
Used to talk about how New York guys, when they came to Arizona, were tougher than the West Coast guys. They had to
now you know why?
Shovel.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Now I'm like, I wish I had this when I was 16. Maybe I would have been a tough guy. I certainly wasn't. But it's like reverse summertime in Tucson. There are months in Chicago where you just don't go outside.
Right.
I mean, or when you do, you make sure that it's in the middle of the day when the sun is high, and you can at least trick yourself into thinking it's warm outside. It's not really that different than what's going on right now in Tucson, which is just you got to be smart about it. I've learned a couple of tricks. 2 layers of socks is usually a pretty good idea. Hand warmers. Always wear a warm hat. All these things that Midwestern kids are taught when they're 5 years old. I'm learning at 39, 40 years old, but I think I've picked it up.
Which would you prefer? I know mine because I grew up in Santa Fe in the mountains. Kind of was too cold for me. I love the heat. I don't mind 114, not just every day. So which would you prefer?
Oh, man. The fall here is really good.
No. I'm talking extreme cold or extreme hot. We have no other choices.
I'd go extreme heat. Yeah, the problem is I'm married to somebody who would go extreme cold.
Got it.
Somebody who keeps our house at 66 degrees. I'd go extreme heat because you can wear shorts and get in the shade and be okay. I am serious about the fall in Chicago. One thing that's nice is we're next to the Northwestern football stadium here, so
right.
So every once in a while people park in our front yard and wander over to the game, and the leaves are falling, and there's something really cool about that. So,
what in terms of the COVID and all this kind of stuff? I mean, what are the chances that we're going to have a full NFL season? What do you, from what you're seeing, how it's being handled? There was that report yesterday about how many tests they've done, and they've been able to control it. Stuff is going crazy on college campuses and stuff like that. Can they get through the season like this? I mean, once they start traveling and going to different stadiums and all that kind of stuff. Can we get a whole NFL season? I'm asking for a friend.
I know they're going to start.
Right.
And I think that once they get started, the hope is that they've got enough momentum that if there's a flare-up in week 4 or 5 or whatever, that there's a confidence that you can keep going. With baseball, that flare-up happened so quickly that it felt like they hadn't gotten quite off the ground.
Right.
If the NFL could have a little bit more runway, I think that would be a good thing. I'll tell you this, guys. The Bears were one of those teams that was caught up in that New Jersey lab mistake. Yeah, and so we show up for practice on Sunday morning at 8:15, and the security guard says, "You got to go home." We go, "What?" And they say, "We'll let you know, but you can't come in." And as it turned out, the Bears had 9 false positives.
Right.
And they got a phone call at 2 a.m. Woke up Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy's wife literally had to give him the forearm shiver to wake him up because his phone wouldn't stop ringing. And they said, "We have 9 positives." And in that moment, I'm sure everybody with the Bears thought, "Oh my God,
right?
Our team's in trouble. The NFL season's in trouble," because as of Saturday night, there were 4 players in all of the NFL who were on the coronavirus reserve list. 4. The Bears all of a sudden wake up Sunday morning thinking they have 9 of them.
Right.
So that tested them. That kind of put them through the fire drill of it. And I mean, what's going to be really interesting is, what happens if there's a false positive on a Sunday morning?
Right, and that's what we talked about that yesterday, yeah.
Yeah, and then you get into kind of the integrity of the game stuff, which is going to be really important, and I wouldn't be, Roger Goodell can, postpone games to Monday night. Shoot, if they had Tuesday night football, they'd probably make a killing. But then you get into things like fantasy football and gambling, and all these other ancillary things that make football popular across the country. And the NFL's got to be really careful that there's no question about the integrity of the outcome of these games.
Right.
Because if an entire offensive line tests positive one day, I mean, that'll move the line. That'll move. That'll change fantasy football outcomes. That'll do all these things, and it's just going to be really new territory for them. I'll be curious to see what happens. My guess right now is that maybe everybody plays like 14 games, and that they get to the playoffs, and then find a way to play the Super Bowl. I really think that if money and will can actually get this done, the NFL is, the league that's got.
So to the more important things, we talked with your brother about playing softball here. Who's the better athlete, you or him?
Oh, I don't know about it. Well, he's a better softball player. I'll tell you that.
Really?
He's left. Oh my God. Oh, that's insulting. No, he's left-handed. And here's the thing: I used to pitch, and that's just thankless. You're just trying not to get hit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he's that. We would play basketball every Sunday morning with a bunch of guys when I lived there. We were pretty even. That was fun, and you always had somebody to guard. And every once in a while, if we're on the same team, there's no teammate like an identical twin brother, because we know where each other's going to be all the time.
Okay, so he's left-handed, but you're not?
I'm right-handed. That's a thing.
How the hell does that happen?
That is called mirror twins. It's a thing.
It's a thing.
And it's a thing. The swirl at the top of my head, the hair swirl, whatever you call that, is the opposite of his. And our baby doctor, this is the thing. And the baby doctor, when I was a kid, do you remember Rolf Benirschke, the old Chargers kicker?
Yeah.
The host, I think he was a weekend host on Wheel of Fortune. Anyway, his dad was like our baby doctor. So his dad was the one who told my mom that, hey, no, these are mirror twins or whatever. So he's left-handed. I'm right-handed. If you look in the mirror, the phrase is whatever unique things I have on the right side of my body, he's got on the left side of it.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So you don't have twins. He has twins. Is that right?
He does. Yeah, he has twin boys, identical twin boys.
Same thing. Okay, so it's not the same thing.
No, I don't believe they're mirror twins, but identicals don't run in families. Like identicals just happen. And yeah, so when he found out, I remember the day he found out that they were going to have twins. We always thought, because the story, and this isn't good radio, but it's a good story. My parents thought they were having one girl. to the point to where when they got to the hospital to have us, the doctor went, whoa, there's another one in here. It's a boy. So they didn't have car seats. They didn't have 2 cribs. They thought they were having one girl. So their life got turned upside down. They had to go, get all that stuff really fast. Ryan, luckily, had months to I believe we got a new car and made sure everything was ready.
How do you mess that up?
I don't know. I'm a little worried about Rolf Benarska's dad as a doctor.
No, he was after the fact because the OBGYN they had then.
Oh, he was a pediatrician. Okay.
He was. The OBGYN was out immediately. There was a story about my dad, I think, chasing him down the hallway.
Wow. That's great radio. Oh my God, that's too funny. That's too funny.
Oh wait, there's another one. Hold on.
Hold on. Don't go anywhere. We got another one coming.
Yeah, we didn't have. We didn't have. It took them a day or two to come up with names because they thought our name was Gina, like literally. So there's it's a whole thing. They had to. We both go by our middle names because they, kind of scrambling for names, gave us the first names of each of our grandfathers, and then decided they didn't want to call us by those names. And, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, guys.
That's too cool. That is too cool.
Well, we're glad we had you on the show. Just for that story.
Something else to give Ryan some grief about too.
Yes.
Okay. Well, again,
Robert,
if he's the better softball player, then I don't know what to say.
But I will say this, Jay. Nobody, and I hope you can attest it. Nobody has more fun playing softball than the guys on that softball.
Oh, I've had a blast with those guys. Those guys. I just kind of got invited as the old guy out there, and I'm the catcher. So, it's fun.
Talk about thankless jobs.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the story about my big screw up someday, but we don't have enough time for that right now. So, Patrick, thanks a whole bunch, man. We appreciate you being here. Well, let's do this again.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I'd be happy to. Thank you.
When Foles is starting, maybe.
Yeah, we'll call you when Nick Foles is starting.
That may be 2 weeks from now.
All right. Take care, Pat. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Hey, let's take our final break here on 1030 The Voice.
Miss a show? Check out the podcast at kvoi.com.
Go local. Make the switch. At Hughes Federal Credit Union, we offer customized solutions and get you what you need faster. Like our quick and easy credit cards and auto loans. All done online from start to finish. Save time using mobile banking, bill pay, mobile deposit, and mobile pay with just a few clicks. Live large, accessing 30,000 plus surcharge-free ATMs and free debit card choices. Make the switch to Hughes today. Visit hughesfcu.org/switch. Certain restrictions apply. Insured by NCUA.
There's a place in our house. For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
In these extraordinary times, 1030 The Voice would like to salute our American heroes.
Of course, we thank first responders and health workers.
But we also recognize workers in the food service industry, the people manning the front lines in our grocery stores.
And from food delivery people to the drivers getting goods to stores.
We thank you. We couldn't do it without you. 1030 The Voice. Trusted local news and talk.
This is The Voice, 1030, Tucson's trusted news and talk.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. That was a lot of fun, and we probably know more about Pat than we ever wanted to know.
Yeah, I think so, but as you said, he didn't think it was good radio. I thought it was funny as hell. They're talking about how his parents didn't know that first of all, they didn't know that they had two, and they thought it was a girl.
Gina, what's up?
That OBGYN couldn't have been more wrong without trying. I mean, that's crazy.
Hey, wait, there's another one.
Oh, man, I can't even imagine.
Explains a lot.
And it's not like that was a long time ago, right? I mean, I could see if that happened in the 40s or 50s when you didn't have sonograms. And then how do you not know there's 2 kids in there?
What I learned also, I didn't realize he's only like 40 years old. He just said 39, 40 years, I think. I thought they were older.
Well,
they're older.
They look young.
Makes me feel old.
Well, you are old.
Look at my beard. I know people saw me today. They said, "Why don't you shave? Please shave."
You need to clean that up.
Oh God, don't make me. We're in quarantine. We're in quarantine. That's my excuse. So hey, big news came out of big news. I guess it came out of the IFL today.
Right, the Indoor Football League adding another team in Arizona, a team in Prescott Valley. They've got a nice kind of cozy arena up there. It's called the Toyota Center.
Is that in Yavapai? Where are they playing?
It's an arena. It's a separate arena. It's what you want. It's one of those arenas that's got all these restaurants and stuff around it.
Oh, really?
All kinds of events.
What's the attendance? What's the attendance size?
It's about 6,000.
Oh, it's perfect.
It's about 6,000 for hockey, that's the same size it would be for indoor football. They have an indoor. Obviously an indoor. They've got a minor league hockey team that's been there for a number of years. They've had a G League basketball team that no longer is there. It was a Suns.
Wait a second.
Suns affiliated
team. So they're in Flagstaff now?
Is that where they went?
I think so. Because they still have one. I didn't know they were in Prescott.
Yeah, well, they were in Prescott Valley, so that's gone. So that cleared the way for them to be able to have a season there. And so they've got an ownership group that decided to put a team there. So now there's going to be 3 teams in Arizona.
How this is a dumb question. We have the guys here tomorrow.
Right, Kevin and Kathy. No, not tomorrow, Thursday. Kevin and Kathy Guy, the owners of the Sugar Skulls, my former bosses as well. Kevin is the president and head coach of the Rattlers in Phoenix. Mm-hmm. He's also been the guy running the expansion for the league. So he's the one who's out there getting this stuff done. They're going to be on our show Thursday. Today's their wedding anniversary. Couldn't come on today. We've got a guest for tomorrow, and then so they'll be here on Thursday.
How difficult is it to put a team like this together?
It's really not that hard because it's not, there's an investment that you have to make, right? Because you have to make sure that there's enough money at least for the first couple of years.
And we know that things have kind of fallen lately.
Right, and so you've got to have the money. A little, and it's not a fortune, it's not millions of dollars. It's
hundreds of thousands.
It's hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it's an amount that you have to ensure that you're not going to come in, start a season, and kill it mid-year because you don't have the money. The Indoor Football League really vets the people that do this. They've got to have resources, and so they're going to put a team there. Again, it's a 6,000 seat arena. If you can sell 3,000-4,000, you're only going to have 14 games, right? If you can do 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 a game, you can do pretty well. And again, it's a nice facility for that, for indoor football because it's small. I know this because small school, state basketball playoffs and state volleyball playoffs we're always there. Mm-hmm. We made that drive a gazillion times for for basketball, boys and girls basketball that my kids played in, and volleyball.
And the community, I don't know what the size would be.
Well, it's good enough size because it's kind of weird over there. You got Prescott Valley, which is more of it's the newer part of it, and it's a separate town than Prescott. Okay. It's kind of like you go over this hill and now you're in Prescott, from Prescott Valley.
So a community that can support this.
Right, they can support it. They've got.
And this is probably the only thing in town?
Yeah, well, they got Yavapai College there, and they've supported, junior college, and, they've historically had good baseball teams and good basketball teams, and I don't remember if they played football, but, they've been strong in softball and soccer and stuff like that. So it's a good little sports town. I think this will be good for that. These are the kinds of places that are in the indoor football league. Tucson, Phoenix, San Diego, even Oakland, some of these bigger cities that have, those aren't, those have competition, whether it's universities, in San Diego, you've got other pro sports. In Oakland, you've got other pro sports. It's hard to compete with those. Even Phoenix, the Rattlers, as well as they do, 15,000 a game. Unfortunately, there's a lot of times that, I don't want to call them an afterthought because Kevin Guy will kick my butt for saying that. But it's
But
hard.
it's understandable.
It's hard for them to compete for the market in there.
One of the things that makes them successful is that he's a winner.
Right, they're a winner, and they love winners. I've been to a couple of their games, and those games are exciting. They're fun. They're loud. The Sugar Skulls try to model themselves after that. So, it's. But when especially a place like Phoenix, you got the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, the Suns, all that stuff going. The Phoenix Rising, all that.
There's only so much money.
There's a niche, but even with all that, they do extremely well.
Right. No, winners always attract.
So we're gonna be able to have a lot of talk a lot about that. The league is growing. They recently added a team from Massachusetts that was in one of the other leagues, and after last season got canceled. Columbus announced that they were going to join next season.
Mm-hmm.
So they're in spite of all this, in spite of the darkness that it's kind of gone dark since the season was canceled.
Question.
Back in April. There's still a lot of things going on.
So how many teams in the league? How many? 14?
I believe it's 16. 16. They're to 16 right now.
Right. So a couple of teams leaving and a couple of teams coming in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of fun. I went to a few. I got the excitement. When you get closer to the field, that's when you really feel what's going on.
Well, that's what it is. And it's a fun game. It's a really fun game to watch. I, for the most part, would watch them from up in the press box area because that was my job during that first year. But, a couple times, I'd go down during the game and be down by the field, and it's still football.
Right.
And it's fast, and it's violent, and it's
fun,
and it's exciting, and you're right on top of it, and that's what makes it. That's what makes it so much fun, and that's what they sell.
Right. You sell those people flying over the edges and kind of coming back and jumping back into the field and things like that.
Right.
Coaches talking to the players and fans talking to the coaches.
Right.
Hey, we got about a minute and a half here. End of the week. We're Tuesday here, but end of the week.
Let's talk about our guest tomorrow. Another very serious subject. We're going to have Caitlin Schmidt from the Arizona Daily Star.
Yes.
Coming in tomorrow. She did that piece on the track program and some of the issues with that. And while, look, we're what we really want to talk about is the whole overall issue of athletics and students' experiences and the things that you've got to do to take care of these students and make sure that the experience is good. And Caitlin's covered a lot of stuff where it hasn't been so good at the U of A.
And it's become commonplace.
Right. And it's become commonplace throughout athletics all over the country.
Right.
And honestly, I'll just say right now, it's not going to be an effort to bash the U of A about what's going on over there.
Just what's going on.
But talk about the big issue. But yes, we want to kind of tease you a little bit. We've got a really big announcement coming up about our show
on Friday.
On Friday. We're going to make that announcement on Friday. It's a big deal, and we hope everybody kind of sticks around and pays attention. We're going to tease it a little bit, and we're not going to give you any hints, but we can tell you that
we're looking forward to it. Yeah,
it's big, and we can't wait to tell you, but we're not going to tell you till Friday.
Yeah, okay. No, I'm looking for. What is it, Jay? You going to tell me?
But look, we've had a great time here, and I've had a lot of fun. And
you're like May, June, July, 4 months. Almost.
It's only been 4 months, and already some really great things happening with our show, and where we can hardly wait to tell you, what's going on with us. But again, we're just trying to be a voice here, let people like Pat Finley and Steve Kerr, Terry Francona, Bob Baffert,
Luis Gonzales,
Dave Hickey, Greg Byrne,
Dr.
Robbins. Come on and just talk to us about things going on in sports that are important to us in Tucson, and we plan to keep on doing that.
Where in the world would you know Adia Barnes is having a baby?
That's another guest we're going to be
on Friday.
Having on Friday. We're going to have both Adia Barnes and her husband Salvo. So that'll be fun.
Okay, look forward to it tomorrow. Again, all week.
Yeah, all week. Be here tomorrow.
Thanks.
KVOI Cortero, AM 1030, the voice of Tucson. Trusted local news and talk. A Bustos